Good morning, viewers. You find us in KZN and Hilton. We're at the Hilton Hotel here up on the hill. Bit chilly this morning, but warmed up by the Suzuki Baleno, which is why we are here. This is an all-new hatchback, and as you can see, there are a bunch of us all talking about the car at the same time. But this is basically a 1.5 litre normally aspirated four-door hatchback with a reasonable amount of boot space. Certainly enough to fit a body in. Well, if you're Allen size, get you in there with a rubber mallet and some enthusiasm. 314 litres of boot space. This is the 275,000 Rand 5-speed manual option. It's the Executive GLX line. 16-inch polished alloys, as you can see. This is just really an overview of the car more than anything else. And it's when you get inside that things start to get quite exciting. Let's jump in now and have a look-see at what we're dealing with. On the interior here, we have a very well appointed dash. Let me turn the vehicle on using my little push start button. Keyless entry on this particular version. Clutch in and brake, and we're up and running. As you can see, we have a very nice comprehensive dashboard with a center adjustable, set it to whatever you want it to display in the middle, and a 9-inch infotainment system with, as it's showing you, a 3D camera panoramic system. This, for a price of 275 grand, is good value. Also climate control and nothing less than a head-up display, which is quite a natty feature, and you can adjust up and down on it here, and if you really don't like it, you can actually just turn it off completely. I find it quite useful. You can adjust what you want it to show, whether you want it to show fuel consumption, rev count, distance, etc, etc, etc. At this kind of pricing level, it's unexpected. And the touchscreen infotainment system, I haven't cranked the volume up to full yet, but initial impressions on it are it's actually pretty good. And of course it is Apple, Android, and pretty much everything else compatible. You do connect to it via USB. You have a USB-C port down there, which is nice, and your universal charger. Other than that, we'll get back to you when we've driven the car on the road. In my foot flat up a hill, the thing barely managed to get to, struggled and battled to get to 10 litres per 100, and as you can see, our average fuel economy is sitting around about 6.3 litres per 100. Alan, I will add that this was passed to me at 6.1 litres per 100, and I gave it back at 5.9 litres per 100. Suzuki claimed that with careful driving you should be able to get it down to 5.4 litres per 100, and I believe them. This car is incredibly frugal in terms of the way it sips its fuel. And when we're on the road, we'll give you some driving impressions on it. Good morning, dear and valued reader, viewer, listener. We're in the GL version now of the Baleno, and things are a little bit down-specced, not a hell of a lot. We're missing our head-up display. We've still got the same friendly console in the middle, and as you can see, it's telling us we're sitting at 8 degrees Celsius, and we have a slightly smaller infotainment system here than we did on the bigger model. But this particular version, same engine, similar sort of spec in terms of seating and everything else, is running you 50 grand cheaper. That's a lot of Tom. Which one would I rather have? Yeah, I think I'd find the 50 grand and buy the bigger one, but this is still a very comfortable place to be. And this is our ride for today, and this is the one we'll be driving, and we'll give you some feedback when we're on the road. And we're back, just to show that actually both Balenos are Android and Apple CarPlay compatible, and the USB, in fact, isn't a C, it's just a conventional USB. I've connected to USB-C via my phone. But Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, useful features, and standard. And here we go, dear and valued viewers. A look under the bonnet, which is not something we do often, but have a squiz. Look at all the space here. It's incredible. Transverse mounted gearbox, sitting almost exactly the engine above the front axle. But what I like about this is that A, there are no plastic panels covering everything that you have to take 1,000 screws off to get to anything, and B, just look at all the space that you've got to work in this car. That is going to make your servicing and running costs cheap, because your mechanic doesn't have to spend an hour accessing everything. And I can tell you from working on my own cars that just having a look at this is going to be a pleasure to work on. 2, 1, rolling. Fantastic. Good morning, viewers. As you can see, I'm in the Baleno. Well, a lot of headroom here with my hat on. I hope you're happy, Al. And I'm driving with my good friend Mr. Taylor from Cape Town, who's behind the camera. And we're on a particularly smooth section of tar, which is an interesting concept to us from Gauteng because there are no potholes. But the Baleno is a wonderfully simple, smooth, easy to drive machine. 5-speed manual gearbox, clutch that is as light as a feather. When you put your foot down, it kind of goes. It's only a 1.5 litre normally aspirated engine. No great shakes there, but the price you pay for somewhat of a lack of performance, if I can put it that way, is more than rewarded when you look at the fuel consumption, which on this car, as we saw earlier, is ridiculous. Well under 6 litres per 100 is easily attainable if you drive it properly, and at the moment you can see we actually already at 5.9 on the open road, and we are stuck in traffic behind trucks here in KZN, as one is used to on this particular section of road between Maritzburg and the airport, and averaging, I would guess, just over 90 k's an hour. So I'm expecting that fuel consumption to drop even further. But the car on the road, quiet relative to the road surface that we are subjecting to at the moment, which is that interesting undulated, almost like it's been put together with someone towing a fork behind the machine or the truck when they lay down the tarmac. Probably the noisiest road surface in the country, and the car's relatively quiet at a pricing point here of 225,000 Rand. You really can't complain. For me, that's it. We will touch base a little bit later on in summation of the car, but for now, this is Will, over and out.